Welcome back to another painting session and lesson. Today I'll be teaching you all how to make an iceberg, a rather flat one at that, but an iceberg nonetheless, floating on top of water. Now, as you can see, this lesson will be made in a pre-made painting, not finished, mind you, but it is here nonetheless, mostly done. And as you can see, I have the northern lights here, something I have also had a lesson over in the past, and if you want to learn more about that, it will be in the description below. But the task at hand, the icebergs, this is going to be a bit of a short one because I will just be making one iceberg for demonstration and then continuing to make the others in time lapse, of course, but the main center iceberg will be in full video for you all. Now I will go over the materials list for you all if you want to go along with me to paint this. You would need a combination of light blues, cyan, turquoise, and greens. Of course, white as well. So I'll go over the blues. For the deepest blue, I'll be using, of course, deep blue. I'll just put that over there. Spa blue. I know this is a bit difficult to see, but Oasis blue. Seaside blue. And Ocean Mist. This is the cleanest of the cans. Now for the cyans and turquoise, I would just be using one, Lagoon. There's another in this category, Vintage Teal, but it's much more gray. A gray that I would rather not use here. And for the grays, I have Spring Green, Green Apple, and Key Lime. Most of these are in the gloss variant as they're easier for me to blend them together. But if you're happy with using satin, semi-gloss, flat, you be you. You have your own style to do. You don't have to copy me. And of course, I would just be using white as finisher as well. This painting in general will also be glowing in the dark. I will have a full time lapse of the making of this painting in time lapse form, but I will stop to, of course, I'll include this iceberg, but it'll be time lapse post. But the one you're watching right now is the tutorial version. If you want to watch the full version, time-lapsed, as I already mentioned, it will be in the description below, just like the other tutorial. Again, this will be glowing in the dark. So, as you can imagine. Of course, one of the main things you will need is a palette. Now, you could use a traditional palette, but I just use newspaper. So, nothing crazy, just newspaper, disposable type stuff. I get it in bulk. And I will also be using flat head brushes. So these. I'll put them in range of size so you can see. So medium to small. That's what we're working with here. Of course, you could have smaller brushes, bigger brushes, round tip brushes, fine tipped brushes, whatever suits your fancy. You could pick it out for yourself. But I will just be doing me. So the way that I feel most comfortable to make this, and I hope that you all do the same as well. You don't want to be uncomfortable making your paintings. And I have a sketch here. Don't mind the spatter up on the top right, but this is what we are working with. Of course, the sketch in and of itself is of a smaller aspect ratio, much slimmer one. This is much longer, as you can see, but I have lengthened it out. So the iceberg will range from here to here. This is the plan up here. It might, I don't plan for it to reach up top here to cross over to make it taller, but we'll see how it goes. And with that out of the way, I will start the actual painting of this. So yeah, I will keep the camera close so you all can see up close the painting I'll be making. Alright, so now I have it a bit zoomed in over here to the entirety of the painting. I will be having my palette to my right here, but I will describe the ratios of which I am using. Maybe later I'll have a palette cam in the future. But first I'll be having some darker colors. So I will spray down on my palettes, my newspaper, some deep blue, followed by some small blue, about a 1-to-1 ratio, equal to each other. And I'll be using this brush here, second to largest. Okay, so how I make these icebergs is I make the darkest color first. This is usually how I make many structures. I make the darkest color first, so I don't have to make it in the future unless some other details that I have to add later on, but the bulk of the shading will be the first layer. Then I add all the tinting. Okay, so the sketch dictates that I will start here, make it a bit higher. Try to make these icebergs, of course you can make them spiky, but try not to make them round. Try to make them flat. If you're making them flat, you can make them have tips and whatnot, but these are just flat stuffs. Okay, so I'm gonna have the tip there. Coming back, I'm gonna have some points. Some points that I will use, as you will see, like that. I'll connect this as well. Just like that. So here we have the top of our iceberg. Now I will have the lines here, and it's very important that you make this not too tall. Make your lines at those corners, at those sharp points where you pivoted. So like this. I'll have it about this size. I'll make this a bit taller, but about this size. I'll also make lines parallel to the tops, so like that. So now basically I'm just making rough shapes. A blueprint that I will later revise and edit through my painting. So now I have this, I will paint in. Now, it is a bit excusable if you get some paint through these lines, as they'll be covered with things later on. As you can see, there's some waves here, snow up top. But try not to go out here out of bounds to the left or right. That's the no-go zone. That is why I am using these flat-tipped brushes. You start at the top, make your way down ever so easily. You can make some sides lighter than others. Of course, this is just base filling in. It does not have to be perfect by any means. And if you want a part to be darker, all you have to do is add more deep blue to your mixture. Make the ratio in favor of a darker color. So I'll mix that in and paint it, and then fill it in. Of course, we'll blend all this in the future, but at the moment I'm just filling in. very roughly. So now I will blend it a tiny bit by very softly stroking up to down like I would earlier, but just softly. It's fine if there's some gaps in color, we'll fill those in the future. Okay, just a bit more. I think we're good here. I'll make this more blending. That's fine. Alright, so now I'll make a lighter variant up top. 1 minute. This will be majority sky blue, because most of the top will be covered in ice. Ice, and well, obviously all of it's made out of ice, but snow is what I mean. As you can see, there's greens and blues. That is to reflect the aurora borealis, the northern lights up top. And also a way to have more diversity in color, to make it not boring. Now you might also notice the shape itself. It's fairly flat up here, but then it makes character on the bottom. This is because the distance from us, the viewer, or the painter in my case, from this point looking in, there's less of space to deal with on the further mounds. And as you can see on, or if you saw on the sketch, the nearest icebergs had more surface to deal with. This is just one of the ways that you can augment your paintings and the objects in your paintings to make them seem more real, to make them seem closer to you. Not just because you tell your viewers that they're closer, they can make it up themselves. They could discern for themselves that they do look closer, because there's more face to look at, they're facing them more. Just how depth works, I suppose. Just how our eyes perceive things. Now most of this iceberg making is fairly boring. I like to make these things, don't get me wrong, but it is tranquil just putting on the layers, because this is how I make them anyway. I have to put a lot of layers on these things. First I gotta go dark, then you gotta go light, and then you have to make sure that the greens and blues are there to reflect. Usually I don't put the greens in there, because many times I do not have the aurora borealis on top of this landscape here. Okay, so this seems to be good enough. Try to keep your brushes in a similar color scheme. So this one will be the darker blues. This one right here will be the very light colors. And have one more brush for others, maybe the greens, maybe the middle colors, maybe something else that you plan to put in there. Okay, so next I will put a lighter color. These two being Oasis Blue and Seaside Blue. Again, a 1-to-1 ratio. I'll be using this color, or this colored brush again. The reason why I say that is because the dark blue that is already on there will blend more into the new colors, so I don't have to put the dark blues in there. Oh, and if you hear little raindrops, that's because it has been raining. I call on the trees, so when a gust blows through, it knocks the water off of those leaves. Comes crashing down. Okay, so I'll go top over here. This will be a dusting compared to what I'll do on the sides. Because I have light colors here. I don't have a lot of dense colors, dense paint on this brush. So it seems like I'm dusting it. Not a lot of color, if you can tell. This will be for the Aurora Borealis in the future. Okay. So now I will deal with the bottoms for the sides. I'll do this by having the brush vertical, like this, like so. And just going across, dropping up and down, like so. I do it vertically, so when I swipe up and down, it's making vertical lines, parallel to the wall lines. It's adding depth and character to this iceberg. In some parts it has more of this color, in others it's slimmer. Make sure you don't do this too much and too rough, as it is liable to almost ruin your brush. And you can smooth it all down by scoring down the wall. Okay, just gonna smooth it here and there. That's fairly decent. Just gotta add a bit more here. Now, as you notice, this paint here is a bit rougher. That's not good. I want the paints here, especially here, to be much, much thinner. So I have used some gloss paint to achieve just that. To loosen up the paint so it is not as harsh. And so it also melds a bit better. So now I'll add some of the darker greens. I'll be using this brush for that. I'll fold the newspaper over so I can still use the same piece. I'm using spring green for this, along with Seaside. I will be using Lagoon later in the future, most probably after this color. Make sure it is very dry in color so that you can score it up top and on the bottom without any rough splotches of paint. Imagine doing this as you would do a filter over a photo. Just like that. This will be covered by snow, yes, but some of it will still penetrate through that snow, adding a bit more depth. And that's why I do it. Again, this should not be a lot of paint that you're using on the sides. Just enough so that you know it is there. This could be fairly fast, so don't try to rush it still. Okay, that's fairly good. Now I'll be using some cyan for this. Instead of the green, I'll be using the Lagoon. More of a blue color. I'll be mixing it in to the mixture I already have set with the same brush. this will add to smooth over some of the paints. I also use this to get rid of some of the colors up here, because this is almost the exact same color that is in the Aurora Borealis right now. Because accidentally, as perhaps you could see in the time lapse, I have when I was making the water, I splotched on black paint accidentally up top here, past the divider. So that's unfortunate. So now I had to fix it by doing this, just covering it up. Okay, so now I think it's time for the lighter colors. The reason why, of course you haven't seen it, but I'm not going to remove the newspaper that's here, this one. That's because I want to mix in the whites here with the brush I have been using, so that it will be greenish in color, to add even more to the effect that the Aurora Borealis has on the land. Remember to shake your cans, of course. This seems to be good. So just this is enough. So as you see here, very bright greens. And if you're enjoying this tutorial, I know I'm not talking much, but hopefully you have enjoyed the tutorial so far. And if you have, please let me know in the comment section below. Alternatively, you could also let me know that you have enjoyed this video by liking the video, or even subscribing. All of them help the channel to reach as many people as it can, because perhaps some other people wish to see these tutorials. I know personally that there are a lot of tutorials in the spray painting field. But perhaps I could add to that, that absence of lessons, so that more people could know how to paint with spray paint. Okay, this seems to be enough for now. A bit more white here, and I'll go over to the walls. So just like that, I'll be going down, glazing through. It's not going to be as glazed in the center, as that's where the light is not reaching. Again, I am sorry for the lack of talking in this video. Just fairly focused on this. But I suppose it's fine with the ambient noises. And I know some people talk in the background, and I do apologize for that. Personally, I'm fine with it, but sometimes they get louder than even my own voice to the camera. Okay, there's a bit more glazing over here. That seems to be enough. Now soon I will add some very bright whites here. And like I said, it's fine if I go over here and down, as I'll cover all of this up with waves and snow up top. Okay, now it is time for that snow. I will get rid of the newspaper I have been using in favor of another. And I'll do the same with the brush. I'll get a new brush just for this. I go up top first. I'll go over the lines, the tops of these walls, first and foremost to get that out of the way, to make them as straight and as sharp as possible. Same for the tops here. Alright, now it's time just to fill in. Take your time. Don't try to be fast. I'll try to be fast just for y'all, but on your own time, don't try to do this. Just take your time. Painting is an act of patience, after all. Well, most of it is. To some degree. Now I will deal with the walls. I'll be scoring down just like I did before with the darker colors. This will add special textures like little cracks into the blues. Also deal with the edges by putting ice there and around it. If you have another way of making icebergs, I'd love to know. I'm always ready to learn, even in spray painting, or even if you know how to make icebergs in other mediums as well. Sorry about that. Okay, and there is one over here that I will deal with momentarily. A little edge. Smoothing that out so it looks like that. Alright, now for some heavy whites. Not gonna dust anymore. Now I got the walls are fine. I just have to deal with the top. The top just needs some maintenance, some snow covering. And after this, I'll just, if there's any tweaks I need to make, then I'll do those. But the next big step are the waves, which are also the final step. So, as you can see here, it's very white. I'll add some more on some of the tops over here and on the edges, just like that, to make the top that much different from the bottom. And it's the wave that really add to the iceberg. At the moment, it's just a shape on what looks to be water. But the ice, or well, the waves crashing into the iceberg is really what adds to it. And that is what I am going to do now. First, I will just do some dustings on the sides. Just like that, very gentle. Crashing into the sides, making little lines. Going outward. Like so. Going around the entire base of the iceberg until it hits the end. Alright, very good. I just do this over and over and over again until it looks about like that, or like that. Don't know why this is so green. But I gotta tweak this a little bit. There we go. Now, many of these waves could also be covered by the icebergs to come, but it's still good to, even though I don't know where the iceberg would go, it's good to make sure to cover all my bases, even if they do get covered up in the future. There's about a slim chance that they will not be covered up. I don't want there to be any missing waves that I have to do later. So might as well just do them all now. So now I'm just going to be dusting the water. Just so. So that it looks something like this. So you see here, little dustings there. That's good. That's what I want from this. So yeah, that's how to make an iceberg with only spray paint. I hope that you have enjoyed today's painting session and lesson, as small and as short as it has been. I hope that you have gained some valuable information from it. If you have some other questions, any recommendations that you have from me, please do ask me in the comment section below. I'd love to hear each and every one of you. If you have any ideas for the future, any criticisms or compliments for this painting in general or any other of my paintings, anything that deals with my channel operates, just spray painting in general, I'd love to hear from you all. Of course, subscribing and liking also does the trick as well. And with that out of the way, I think that about does it. I'll bring the camera close so you can have an in-depth view of how this looks right next to the camera. And as I promised, here is the close-up. As you can see, the dark parts of the ice can be seen here, along with the green parts that I added in. and the waves shown on the sides. I'll also show you the other ones as well, starting with the one on the right. A similar dynamic with much bluer, much deeper colors on the walls, and significantly more white, as you can see on the top. But still green, some greens and blues to reflect what's up top here. And that pretty much covers it. Again, I hope that you have enjoyed today's tutorial. If you have learned anything that you would like to let me know of, please tell me in the comment section below. If you want me to make a tutorial of something else from spray painting, please let me know in the comment section below, or any other requests or compliments or criticisms alike. A like or subscribing to the channel also suffice. Again, I hope that you have enjoyed the lesson today. And until next time, whatever lesson, whatever I may be teaching you all, I hope to see you all there. Bye bye.